me to say that. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with you today, and I have the pleasure of sharing with you how you can fulfill your potential. Now, I've had many years of working with business owners and also working on myself, and I'm going to share some secrets with you today. Now, what is the definition of fulfilling your potential? It is the ability to achieve more from where you currently are. So if it's okay, I'm going to help you to learn how to achieve more. And I'm going to do that in 3 ways. We are going to talk about you, we're going to talk about your business, and we're going to talk about the most important third potential, which is your children. Now, as a business owner, as a person, but more importantly as a mother, what I do with my children represents our future. So I hope that you enjoy this journey that I'm going to take you on today, because I want you to be better, because you got to sit here today and we got to meet each other and learn from each other. So let's get started. There's a wonderful man that I really admire actually in America, and his name is Grant Cardone. Now, Grant Cardone says to us that we have the opportunity to be amazing. He is regarded by Forbes as the most influential marketer in the world. He is an influencer, he is an author, and most importantly, he actually wrote a book called The 10X Rule. Now, in that he says everyone has the opportunity to be potential, but listen to his quote: treating success as an option is one of the major reasons why more people don't create it for themselves. Why most people don't even get close to living up to their potential. So let's have a look at these 3 areas: yourself, your business, and the stars of the future, your children. So why is potential important? Well, for me, I actually realised that potential is the biggest problem that we were born to solve. Potential is the biggest problem that we were born to solve. It brings you joy, it brings you happiness, it brings you connectivity with other people, but most importantly, it makes you live. And that's pretty cool. So how do we measure potential? Well, I thought about this. Hence the picture of scales. We can get on a set of scales and we can get a number. But how do we measure potential? For me, how I measure potential is in learning. I measure potential in my ability to change my habits. I measure potential in my ability to stretch and reach beyond what I thought was possible. How do you measure potential? So I'm going to ask you to do something for me right now. On a piece of paper in front of you, I want you to write down a number. I want you to write down a number between 0 and 100. Because 0 is before you were born. 100 is the potential of what you can achieve before you die. Right here, right now, what number do you give yourself between 0 and 100 for how much you've already achieved in your life if 100 was the best, the most amazing that you could ever possibly expect of yourself? What number would you give yourself? If you're just starting out in life, you might give yourself about a 20 because you've only had a few experiences. But if you're a bit older, and I can see a few older people in the audience, So I would think that you've got to get cracking on getting your potential realised, because you haven't got many years left. So what number would you give yourself? Write the number down, because by the time I finish my presentation, you're going to have a new number. And that new number is what you expect of yourself for the rest of your life. But for right now, what's your number? So what's your potential as yourself? Cue the music, thanks Barney. This is your start to start a new life. This is your chance to uncover a new potential. And I bet you want to know how you're going to do that. So here's the first thing that you're going to do. Number one is you're going to uncover your story. Because what you've experienced in your life, what you have done up to this point, is the total sum of who you are right now. How many of you have gone back and looked at your life and gone, what's my story? What allowed me to be this amazing person that I am right now? What experiences did I have? Who were the most influential people who guided me and shaped me, good and bad? Good and bad. What was the environment that I grew up in? Who was I allowed to be? For me, I actually sat down and wrote my story. I wanted to understand how I could change myself. But for me to understand how I could change myself, I needed to understand who I was so I could find out how I could get to where I wanted to be. I uncovered many things about myself. So what's your story? Who shaped, guided, influenced you? Which bits do you need to keep? And which bits do you need to let go of so that you can realise your potential? So that's tip number one. Number two is your uniqueness. What makes you different? If I asked you to write down 5 things on a piece of paper right now that you could say makes you different from the person sitting beside you, could you do it? Could you do it? So what I'd like you to do is I want you to stand up. Right now, if you believe you are unique, there is no one else like you in this world. Stand up if you believe you are truly unique. Awesome. Stand up if you believe you are unique. Take a look around. Look at how many people say, I'm unique. Give yourselves a hand. Yes. Every one of you are unique. The question is, you can sit down, thank you. The question is, do you actually know what it is that makes you unique? Could you write it down? Because until you can actually document what makes you different, then you'll never truly have the confidence to understand your potential. Because when I meet someone and they say to me, Shamia, why should I choose to work with you rather than working with someone else? And I can say to them with absolute integrity and authenticity what makes me the best choice. Why I'm the best person for them. Because I know me. How well do you know you? 5 things that make you different from the person beside you. 5 unique things. Not that I'm good with customers, or I'm confident, or I'm good at selling, because other people say that. What makes you truly unique? For me, I know that one of my highest talents is numeric reasoning. I know that I see numbers in a way that a lot of other people don't see numbers. That makes me kind of unique. What makes you unique? What makes you different? What makes you stand out? This one's really powerful, your theme. What's your life meaning? Have you ever actually thought about what your life means? What's the theme of your life? How do you live each day? Do you choose each day, or does each day choose you? Now, I'd like to share some questions with you, actually. I spent some time with an amazing gentleman in America. His name's Marshall Goldsmith. He's an amazing executive coach. Has anyone heard of Marshall Goldsmith? He's an author. I've got a few people. I would highly recommend that you read his books. They're amazing. One day we were sitting down and he said to me, he said, Charmian, there's some questions that you need to ask yourself to know if you're living a good day. And I want to share them with you. He said, you must ask yourself, did I set clear goals today? Did I make progress with my goals? Did I find meaning in my day? Was I happy today? Was I fully engaged today? Did I learn something today? Was I grateful for today? Did I look after my health today? Was I a good wife or husband today? Was I a good mother or father today? Did I say something nice? And lastly, did I do something nice? If you can answer those questions and know that you did those things every day, then I would say that you're on your way to fulfilling your potential. But there's one more thing. There's 4 things that I'm actually going to share for you. And the 4th one is your ability. Your ability. The amount of education, the amount of skills, and the knowledge that you have right now is the total sum of what you can expect for the rest of your life. Now, if you're happy with your life right here, right now, then that's great. But I'm standing on this stage to help you fulfill your potential. So to do that, you've got to know more. You have to have more skills. And you have to have experienced more so that you can expect yourself to stretch and to grow. What are you doing to learn more, to earn more? If you want to fulfill the potential in yourself, you need to ask yourself those questions. So that's you. It's my 4 points to help you fulfill your potential. Barney, over to you. Now to business. What have you got to do to fulfill your business? I can show you pictures, I can tell you stories. In fact, I can help you grow your business. We've got a fabulous system at Action Coach, one that really truly works. But that's not enough. It's not enough. There's 4 things that I want to share with you. If you combine a great system with growing your business, with a great person, then you're going to have a very successful business. You will understand how to fulfill your business potential. Now I've got a question for you. Who's married? Alright, so tell me, before you got married and when you got married, were things all bright and rosy and exciting and you couldn't wait to get out of bed every day and you had so much energy for your marriage, for your partner, you couldn't wait to do everything together? Is this true? Yes? Yes. Over time, does the marriage get a bit boring, loses excitement, there's no romance like they used to be, don't go out to dinner like you used to, you have to work at it hard, just like business. If you let it be that way. So my number one tip for you to have a great business is be committed to it. Be committed to your business like you are to your marriage. My husband and I have been married 23 years this year. Yeah, high five. Sure, we've had some ups and some downs, but we have the most amazing relationship. We respect and love each other more today than what we did from the first day we got married. But that was because of our commitment. No matter what, we stuck together. No matter what, we invested. No matter what, we did it together. So my question to you is, if you think about your business, are you truly committed? Are you invested? Will you do whatever it takes to make sure you invest in it as if it was a marriage? Now I spoke about this next subject last year, USP, unique selling proposition. There's a few people that actually came up to me and we spoke, they said that they remembered my presentation from last year on USP. And I've got it here again. If you want to fulfill the potential in your business, you need to understand what makes you unique. Otherwise, you are selling based on price competition. You are giving your opposition the opportunity to undercut you. You're making yourself reduce prices. If you understand your USP, your unique selling proposition, you can ask your price. You can show your value. Now there's a fabulous example of this, and for those of you that may know the story of Zappos. Zappos was a company that started over 10 years ago from zero, sold for over $1 billion 10 years later. And do you know what they sell? They started out selling shoes. They are now a major distribution online business. They started out selling shoes. You could buy shoes anywhere. But what they realised was the uniqueness that they needed to define themselves by was their customer care. It didn't matter what the price was. What mattered was that they did it differently. So in your business, it doesn't matter if you sell the same thing as the person beside you. What matters is that you stand out and you can represent value rather than asking a price. It is absolutely critical. The next thing is market domination. So number 3 is market domination. If your business is focused on your immediate area, so let's say your district, do you know how many people are your potential customers in your district, in your city? If your marketplace is your city, how many potential customers are in your city? Then I want you to write down how many customers you actually have in your district or in your city and work out the difference. Because the people that you haven't yet dominated their world yet, is the difference in your potential. If you know your average dollar sale and you work out how many people don't buy from you, they buy from your opposition, how much money are you losing every day? How many transactions are going to your opposition? How much profit are you missing out on in your business? And worse still, how many dollars are going in someone else's family and not in yours because you took your eye off the market domination? Now, whether you're doing it here, in your district, in your city, in your country, or if you want to go global, what's the potential in your market? Then the next question needs to be is what's the potential in our marketing and our business model to reach that potential? How many of you are playing too small? How many of you are playing too safe? If you want to realise your potential, you have to start expecting it of yourself. Now the next one is your team's ability. So this is number 4 for how to improve your business's potential. It's your team. You can't do this alone. You cannot do this alone. So I've got 3 things that I would be working on if I was you. Number 1 is leadership. How good are you as a leader? And you know what, we can all go and learn about leadership, read books, do that sort of stuff. But you know where the true result is? The true result is asking your staff, what do they say about you as a leader? In fact, have you ever asked them the question? Or are you afraid of what they would say? Again, Marshall Goldsmith gave me the most amazing advice about leadership. He said, Charmian, there's only one question that you need to ask your people. And that question is, what one thing do I, as your leader, need to do for you? Imagine if everyone in this room went back to their workplace, went back to your company, and asked all of your people, what can I do as your leader to be better for you? What one thing? That's it. And imagine if you taught your managers to do the same thing. Go and ask your staff, what one thing can you do to be a better manager for them? How amazing would that be? So that's leadership. Then we need to look at how we recruit. Oh, Nancy's excited. Recruitment. It's really important that you recruit the best people. But you can't recruit the best people unless you have a process for recruiting. How do you attract the best people to your organisation? Are you considered number 1 in employing staff in your industry? Or are you just fading in like everyone else, where you're just giving them a job? If you want great people, you need to invest in your recruitment process. And then when they come to you, if you want them to stay, you need to make sure you have a great induction process and then great training for them so that they see that you value them. And then the last point is recognition. Recognise them for greatness. Recognise the small things. Thank them. It's the simple things. So, they're my 4 points on giving your business the opportunity to fulfill its potential. Now here's the last one. Let's see if we can make this work without me saying anything, Barney. Now, if you didn't recognise the people in this picture, do you recognise the people in this picture? Yes. Yes. Don't my husband and I do beautiful children? We do beautiful children. I thought I would include this. Now the reason why I've included children as fulfilling the potential is because we always get beautiful comments from people that say to us, how have you been able to help your children be so amazing? So I thought I'd share. So you're actually very special. I've never shared this with anyone, but I thought I would share it with you today. So I hope you don't mind. So number one is the environment. We gave our children, or we actually spoke about the sort of environment that we wanted to give our children. We wanted to make them feel safe. Now safety comes in different ways. They definitely had physical safety. We live in a beautiful country. We have a beautiful home. They have family around them that love them. So physically they're safe. But for us it was a safety that you couldn't see. And that was about allowing them to be themselves safely. So how do we do that? We actually taught our children to ask questions. And what I've observed as a parent is, what a lot of parents do is they want to be the parent to their children. Whereas for my husband and I, we wanted to be equal. We wanted to be equal. They respect us and we respect them. And the way we did that was through questions. We taught our children to ask good questions, and we asked good questions of them. And there was two distinguishing questions which I'd like to share with you that changed everything. For me as a child, I was brought up in a why household. Why? W-H-Y. Why did you do that? Why are you behaving like that? Why is this happening? And so what happens when we ask ourselves why, or when a parent asks a child why, is the child will do one of three things. They will blame someone else. It wasn't me, it was them. They'll make excuses, or they'll deny their behaviour. I wasn't here. Couldn't have been me. When you ask a child a why question, you will force them to blame someone else, make an excuse, or deny their behaviour. So we made a decision that we ask how questions. How do you take responsibility for your actions? How do you clean your room? How is it that you can go to school making your own lunch? Changing the way you speak to your children changes their behaviour. So we made them feel safe in asking good questions. The next thing that we did is we encouraged our children. We wanted to encourage our children to be creative. If we dictate to our children, if we tell our children what to do, they will never learn the ability to stretch themselves, to push the boundaries, to reach for something else. They will always stay where you tell them to stay, or where someone tells them to stay. If you think back just one generation, 2 generations, what if your children stay the same? We can't have that. We have the opportunity to widen our children's ability to think differently, to think creatively. So how did we do that? One of the major things that we did is we were very open to exposing our children to travel from a very young age. If they had stayed in Australia, they would have seen the world as Australian. So how could they possibly be creative? How could they possibly be accepting of other people's cultures, of new ideas, of new ways of thinking? How could they possibly be entrepreneurs if they thought like every other Australian child thought? So we encouraged our children to travel. We encourage them to learn about different religions. We encourage them to learn new cultures, to try new foods, to experience new languages. And do you know a really interesting thing about this? I was recently presenting in Australia for a conference called STEMX, which is the World Science Festival. And one of their speakers there, his name was Kevin Ashton, and he was from America. And I asked Kevin about what he thought was the reason for great innovation and technology in countries. What makes a successful country? And do you know what he said? He said a great immigration policy. And what he meant by that was that the more we can bring in other people's thinkings, ways, thoughts, values, beliefs, the more that all of us are open to learning something new, to thinking differently. So as a parent, what are you doing to allow your child to think differently to how you did when you were growing up? To allow them to stretch their imagination, to be more, to fulfill their potential. Number 3, resilience. Again, we learned this question from our children at school. One of the girls' teachers said to me, "You have to let your child fail." And as a parent, that is the hardest thing to do. So my question to you is, do you let your children fail? Do you let your children fail? Without failure, they cannot build the ability to build resistance. They need to fail to succeed. They need to lose to win. They need to understand the importance of resilience. And did it make me upset? Did it make me cry if my children got hurt? Or if someone was mean to them? Or if they fell over and they had blood coming out of them? Yes, it did. But do you know what? They learned to pick themselves up. They learned how to deal with bullies at school. But I was there with them. I didn't do it for them. So how are you helping your children to build their resilience? And the last one that I think is very important for fulfilling your child's potential is teach them to plan. Teach them to plan. And it seems like such a grown-up thing. But at a very young age, we had our children making their own breakfast, deciding what they were going to eat for breakfast, choosing their clothes that they were going to wear for the next day. And then as they got older, we actually taught them how to budget. Does that sound crazy? Probably. But you know what? Both of our girls are at this moment touring Europe with every bit of money that they saved themselves with their budget that is taking them around the world. Because when they were younger, we taught them how to plan. And one of those plans was a budget. How have you taught your children how to plan? Because it's really easy to teach your children to dream. Really, really easy. And it's a little bit easier to teach them how to have goals. And that's very important too. But most importantly, is we don't teach our children how to plan and how to act. We like the big stuff, not necessarily the small stuff. So I've got one more for you, which is what I call number 5 for all of the 3 areas. Is if you truly tap into your potential, can you imagine what goals you're capable of? Can you imagine what celebrations you can have with your life, with your family, with your children, with your business? Just imagine what life can bring to you if you expect it. So one last question. What's your score? I want you to write down a new score. Because if you do those things that I've shared with you today, you write down all those things and you actually leave here and do it, what's your score for your new potential? Because all you need to go for is the gap. Find out the things that you don't know and you haven't been doing and apply them. And then you will realise your potential. What's your potential number for this life? What can you be doing? And I want to leave you today with a quote. Consult not your fears, but your hopes and your dreams. Think not about your frustrations, but about your unfulfilled potential. Concern yourself not with what you have tried and failed in, but with what is still possible for you to do. Thank you, Vietnam. It has been my absolute pleasure.